So I recently participated in a tournament, a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament hosted by Dkayed on YouTube. This was the anime progression series, Duelist Kingdom Season 1, Episode 1. This is a tournament based on, the anime. So basically how it works is you pick yourself a legendary duelist, Yugi, Kaiba, Joey, Taya. Out of all of these guys, I ended up picking Mako, and basically you get to build a deck using this pool of cards. So if you're Mako, you can't use, Blue Winged Crown or Harpy's Feather Duster. You can only use these cards. So I built a deck using these cards, and you can also choose from this common staple pool. So I'll show you my deck in a second. So here's the deck I ran for this tournament. You can see a bunch of normal monsters, basically just the strongest normal monsters that were available for Mako Tsunami. I did add one of this guy with 1300 attack, but that's because I needed 40 cards and I wanted to have a good spread of monsters and spells and traps. In the end, I noticed some decks, they just didn't run any of the weak monsters and just ran more useful spells and traps. That was probably a pretty good idea. I didn't think this tournament was going to have such good deck builders though, so at the time I wasn't that worried about it. So anyway, the reason why I chose Mako Tsunami over any of the other duelists was basically for this right here. He's got 7 colored fish and giant red sea snake. So everybody else in the all the other characters you could choose from, I believe they only have one 1800 monster. Or in the case of Bandit Keith and Pegasus, they had an 1850. But they just had one 1850 and then the rest of their monsters were lower than 1800. Whereas Mako Tsunami has 2 1800s. So that's 6 monsters in your deck, 6 chances to draw an 1800 beater, which is like the strongest in the format. So I took this. He also has a couple 1600s and then one 1650, so pretty strong. That's the main reason why I chose him, but another thing that makes him stand out from the crowd is the Dust Tornado. So this is exclusive to Mako Tsunami. There's not anything similar to this for any of the other duelists. So you've got 3 Mystical Space Typhoons, destroy magic and traps. You've got 3 Dust Tornadoes, destroy magic and traps. So I'm thinking, like, if anybody's using equip spells or field spells or, trap holes, anything like that, I have a better chance of getting those off the field while they will have fewer chances to deal with mine. And then another thing that Mako Tsunami has that everybody else does not is Raigeki. This didn't really come into play, but it's just a nice to have. So this is my deck. I ended up going with 3 Robin Goblins. After dueling in the tournament against, people that were actually playing seriously, I realized that Robin Goblin is actually kind of trash because everybody just puts their cards face down once you pull this out, so it actually has no use. So in hindsight, probably could have replaced this with equip spells so that I would be better prepared for the Mako mirror match. Because you see, if I play against another Mako player and I have Umi Iruka to boost my monsters, it boosts his too. So if the enemy Mako player is playing equip spells, they only boost his monsters, so he's got a distinct advantage. So probably could have replaced these with equip spells or Wabakus. A lot of people used Wabakus. I don't really like Wabaku because it's just like 1 turn of advantage and 1 turn of stall, and then if you don't have an out to the situation, which in this format there aren't that many, it doesn't really do much. That's what I was thinking going into it, but a lot of the top decks played Wabaku and did well, so I guess I was wrong about that. I don't know. So this is the first duel of the tournament. I got matched up against Cyber, the he was actually a pretty nice guy. He talked to me in chat. We went back and forth. So I'm playing the Mako Tsunami deck, as we already know, and he's playing the Yugi deck. And the rules of the tournament, if your opponent asks what deck you're playing, what character you're playing, you have to tell them. So in all of my duels, I just asked right away and then told them what I was playing, even if they didn't ask me. So I know he's playing Yugi. He knows I'm playing Giant Red Sea Snake. And if he's serious, he's probably got the website pulled up so he can see my card pool. So as you can see, I start off with a Giant Red Sea Snake, 1800 attack beater. He pulls Brain Control turn 1. You know, besides Magic Jammer, which is in this format, there's not much we have that could respond to that, so he just brain controls freely. He only has one brain control, by the way, unless he broke the rules. He should only have one brain control in his deck. Managed to draw brain control and summon Skull turn 1. Steal my 1800 beater, tribute it, and get this out. Fortunately for me, I do have Umi Iruka and a Rush Recklessly. If it wasn't for that, you know, there's not many outs to summon Skull. So I use my Dust Tornado in the end phase so he can't activate whatever he just plays. I happen to get Mirror Force. That is amazing. In this format, Mirror Force is like the only, you know, good battle phase trap. Like there's Wabaku and Rush Recklessly and Mirror Force. That's it. Yugi, Yami Yugi, that's the only card pool that has a Mirror Force in it. This guy's playing Yami Yugi, so he has Mirror Force. He can only have one though. So I got rid of that Mirror Force. There's no more, nothing to be afraid of. He could have Wabaku, but that's it. That's all he could have. So anyway, I draw into a 7-colored fish, pretty lucky. I still have my Umi Iruka from turn 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that. He has something in the back row that he could respond with. It's either Mystical Space Typhoon, which I am afraid of, or it's Wabaku. So I'm going to attack with my 7-colored fish. I'm not going to activate Rush Recklessly when I declare battle. That gives him a chance to respond. He doesn't, so in the damage step, I activate Rush Recklessly. As you can see, they didn't give him a chance to respond. That's because in the damage step, there's not a lot that he can activate. If he had a Rush Recklessly, maybe he could respond. I'm not sure how those rules work. I have to look it up. So he's got a Fissure. Fissure's my 7-colored fish. This would be a pretty good situation for him, but I do have Monster Reborn. And I do have Umi Iruka, so any monster I draw pretty much is going to climb over this. So this is Yugi. Looking at Yugi's card pool, he doesn't have any flip effects or anything for me to be afraid of. That's why I just summoned my monster without caring. I was a Wabaku. See, so using my Rush Recklessly in the damage step, he wasn't able to chain Wabaku. So he uses Wabaku now, so there's nothing I can do. But anyway, like I was saying, Yugi does not have any flip effect monsters, like no man-eater bugs or anything like that. I know what he's probably playing face down, at worst, is going to be a 2000 defense monster. So I'm not afraid, and I know I have to get these off the field, because if he draws into a Summon Skull, he's going to be able to beat over my monsters. So I'm going aggressive here. You see I Monster Reborn his Summon Skull to be doubly sure and to get some damage on his life points. So yeah, like I thought, 2000 defense monsters. I hit him for 2500 his turn. If he gets a Dark Hole here, which he should have, that would be really bad for me, but he doesn't draw a Dark Hole. All he does is set one monster, which, like I said, he can't have any flip effects, no man-eater bug or nothing like that, so this is game. Yep, I don't even summon my monster because I know there's nothing he can do to stop me. GG's Cyber. Easy first duel. So at this point, I'm 1-0. So, second duel. I'm going first again. This guy's name is Sluos Ferretna, something like that. And he'll be playing Pegasus. Now, my opening hand is pretty good. I got a couple of 1600 beaters, which are mid-range. I got a Mystical Space Typhoon, so I just open up with a Great White Shark and a face down card. Now I know this guy is playing Pegasus, and he doesn't use anything on his first turn. I go ahead and activate Mystical Space Typhoon in the end phase and make sure that's not a Waboku or something like that. I'm thinking this guy must be playing the Toon World version of Pegasus. That's what Pegasus is known for, his Toon monsters, and the fact that he wasn't able to put anything down on turn 1, I'm thinking he must be playing Toons. He must have got bricked with a bunch of Toons in his hand and no Toon World. But as you can see, he's actually playing the Flying Elephant. So this is an OP 1850 attack, no tribute card, and its effect is that if you try to destroy it with a card effect, it's not destroyed the first time, and then after that, if he is able to attack you directly with this card, he wins the duel. So I drew a Dark Hole, but I'm not going to be able to use it against his monster, so I just go ahead and play my cards in defense position. So this is a super strong card. All the other 1800s in this format have no effect. So this guy has 1850 attack and an amazing effect. The TO admitted that he did not realize this card had made it through the list, and you know, if anybody would have said anything, he would have immediately banned this card. He did not know this card was legal. So there are a couple of Pegasuses in the tournament that made it pretty far using this card. So you can see he's got the clowns, so it's looking like this guy's playing a Flying Elephant clown deck, no Toon monsters, with a Relinquish and Thousand Eyes Restrict. So I'm going to go ahead and summon a Giant Red Snake, 1800 beater, get his clown off the field so he can't destroy my monsters, chain Robin Goblin to try to, you know, whittle down his hand, get some advantage. But right now I'm just hoping I get a Fissure so that I could Fissure and Dark Hole and get rid of that thing, or an Umi Ruka in order to just beat him in battle. So he attacks me, does 50 damage, plays this face down, probably a card that he doesn't want to lose to Robin Goblin. Draw 7 colored fish, and these are great draws against any other duelist. These would be amazing draws right here. But this is a very strong card this guy has, Flying Elephant. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of his clown just to make sure he doesn't have any field presence. He's going to keep destroying my monsters, but I'm only taking 50 damage, so I'm just hoping for the best. Hoping I could top deck an Umi Aruka or something like that to help me get over this Fissure. Rush recklessly. There's no Heavy Storm in this format, and the only character that has Harpy's Feather Duster is My Valentine. So this guy is free to just set all the back row he wants, and me as well. I'm free to set all the back row I want as well. Only thing you have to really be afraid of is Mystical Space Typhoon. So he hits me for 1850, and I do manage to pull an Umi Aruka. So I'm going to go ahead and Dark Hole, get rid of that face down. Summon Giant Red Snake, put down my Umi Aruka, and now I can finally climb over this elephant. If he has a Mystical Space Typhoon in the back row, this would be terrible for me, but he doesn't. So he's got a Dark Hole. So this is the card that he played from his hand when I originally activated Robin Goblin. So he put that down to avoid it getting sniped. And that's another reason why Robin Goblin was a bad choice in hindsight. It's just so easy to play around. So yeah, if I were able to play in this format again, I would definitely replace that. So I get a Rush Recklessly. That's good because now if he gets a Mystical Space Typhoon and get rid of my Umiuruka, I'm still good. But I just have to draw a monster in order to climb over this elephant. There are two monsters I have that are 1300 and 1350 that would not beat this elephant. Besides that, any monster I draw should be able to climb over this elephant. So I'm beginning to stack up my back row. He does not flip his face down. We don't know what that card is, but at this point, if it's anything with more than 300 attack, he should flip it up and attack me. So if you're wondering why he doesn't flip that and attack for a game, you'll find out, I believe this turn or next turn. So I pull a giant red snake. I'm able to attack over his elephant. Apparently he does not have anything in the back row. So I guess he's just setting those cards because he's afraid of Robin Goblin. Still doesn't flip his card. Pegasus does have a flip effect monster that makes it so that whatever card I have can't attack. But it must not be that card because he's not using it. So I'm going to go ahead and Mystical Space Typhoon whatever he just played. Another Magic Jammer. Attack his face down. Let's see what it is. Thousand Eyes Idol. So you see 0 attack, 0 defense. That's why he wasn't able to flip that and attack for game. So this Umiuruka is saving my ass right now. If he is able to top deck another elephant, I don't think he already used Dark Hole, so all he could possibly have is Fissure. And if he had Fissure, he probably would have used it by now. I'm guessing those cards must be useless cards in the field. Probably Magic Jammers, probably maybe a Polymerization. That's why he had that Thousand Eyes Idol on the field. He was trying to save it. He does get a Monster Reborn, so he's going to be able to bring back one of my 1800 beaters. And now if I were him, I would crash here. I mean, I know that I have Rush Recklessly, so I would win either way. But you want to crash in this situation because, for example, what if I have a Fissure on the field, or what if I draw some even stronger monster? Then you don't even get the 1-for-1. You just lose and you left it to your opponent to decide your fate. So I would have crashed, even though I would have lost in the game. He decides to not crash. So I'm just going to Rush Recklessly, climb over this, and that's game. Yeah, there's nothing he could do here. There's nothing he could top deck that would win this. He already used his Dark Hole. There's no cards he has in his back row because if he had anything, he would have used it by now. So I just attack. So 2-0. So round 3, I'm 2-0. I won another coin toss. My opponent, Toon Pumpkin, is actually going to be my first Mako mirror match. So we're playing the same deck. So I draw a great first hand, 2 Dust Tornadoes, Giant Red Sea Snake, Tongyo, Dark Hole. Go ahead and summon my Tongyo, just in case he has a Dark Hole, Fissure, or something like that. I don't want him to get rid of my Giant Red Sea Snake, so just not committing to that yet. He plays 2 face down cards. I've got 2 Dust Tornadoes, so in the end phase, we're going to go ahead and get rid of those. One is a Rush Recklessly, which wouldn't have helped him at all. And the other one is an Acid Trap Hole. So Acid Trap Hole is a card that only Mako is allowed to play, and it destroys monsters that are played in face down defense position. So that's going to be a dead card against me. My whole deck is beat down monsters. So I go ahead and bang him up with 2 Tonyos. Still don't want to commit to my Giant Red Sea Snake until I see a Dark Hole, Raigeki, or something like that. This is a Mako Tsunami, so he has both. I draw a Fissure, so whatever he has, I'm going to be able to get over it. I accidentally put one of my Tungyos in defense position. Don't be fooled into think I was playing around Mirror Force or something like that. Mako Tsunami does not have Mirror Force. And I totally did that on accident, just because of the way this game works. So he's got 2 face down cards. I'm going to go ahead and summon 3 monsters, put my guy back into attack mode, and try to attack for game. As you can see though, he's got Waboku this time. So that was a big Waboku. He blocked a lot of damage there. Let's see how he's able to play off of it. So he top decks Dark Hole. Really good top deck there. Cleaned up 3 of my monsters. But he still has no monsters of his own. So I'm thinking he's playing a variant of the Mako deck where he just did not include any of the weak monsters like Tongyo there. So he's probably got a lot of spell cards and he's just hoping to draw into one of his monsters. The other option is that maybe he has a tribute monster in his hand, but I doubt it. He could also have the field spell, in which case that would only benefit me. So I've got Fissure, Raigeki, Dark Hole, like this is a wrap. I accidentally switched my monster to defense mode again. So I actually didn't want to summon the giant red sea snake, but I summoned it just because I wanted to make sure I got some damage off. So that was an accident. But yeah, no matter what monster he summons now, I'm prepared for everything. He goes ahead and Raigekis me, and this is exactly why I didn't want to summon my giant red sea snake. So now he's Dark Holed me, he's Raigeki me, and he's starting to reveal his hand. He actually draws 1 crazy fish. He's got 2 malevolent nuzzlers, so he's going to go ahead and hit me for 3,000. Not a big deal. As you can see, I've got plenty of monster removal, but now I have to top deck a monster in order to win. And I get the High Tide Gyojin, lucky for me. So we're going to go ahead and fissure this. Malevolent Nuzzler does allow you to pay 500 to put it on top of the deck, but he's not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and summon this guy and attack him. No Waboku this time, so 3-0. Easy tournament so far. Besides. So, this is my 4th duel, and this one was the highlight of the tournament for me. So, I'm going up against Farfa, a popular streamer and YouTuber, and because of that, and because of the fact that I'm in the top 64 at this point, I'm actually on stream. The Dkayed, who's also a YouTuber and streamer, is streaming this duel in front of all his audience. So I open up with Giant White, Great White, 1600 attack beater, Mystical Space Typhoon and Rush Recklessly, pretty good hand. He opens up with his 1700 attack monster, which I'm just going to go ahead and use Rush Recklessly to get over it. He's actually playing the Joey deck. Joey has a ton of cards to choose from, ton of traps, ton of monsters. He's got a lot of options. So it's kind of hard to think about his deck. I don't think Joey is a particularly good card pool for this tournament, but it can be scary if you're trying to play safe. So one thing that Joey has is Trap Holes and Trap Hole of Spikes. And the way Trap Hole of Spikes works is if your opponent summons a monster and attacks with that monster the same turn it was summoned, you can destroy it. So as you can see, I don't attack with my Crazy Fish, and that's why I'm trying to play around his Trap Hole of Spikes, and I'll be playing around his Trap Hole of Spikes for the entire duel. So he summons a 1500, and this is where you see the versatility of Joey. He goes for an attack on my Great White. I let it go through, and what does he have? Metal Morph. Since he waits till the damage step to activate it, I can't use my Mystical Space Typhoon to counter. So he's able to destroy my monster and do 1,000 points of damage to me. So Joey has access to Metal Morph, Trap Hole of Spikes, Waboku, Kunai with Chain. A lot of trap cards are available to Joey. So I fissure his monster, go ahead and attack. I don't attack with my giant red sea snake because I'm still playing around Trap Hole of Spikes. Trap Hole of Spikes, if he has it, is actually a pretty bad card because as you can see, the way I'm playing around, it would just be a dead card. But as we'll find out as the duel goes on, he actually does not even play Trap Hole of Spikes in his deck, so all this time I'm playing around that card for no reason. It's really, I'm just stalling myself. So I think it was a smart play just in case, but it's kind of a bad card. So perhaps you could say I was underestimating my opponent by playing around it at all. Underestimating him in the sense that, you know, if I thought he was a good player, why would he use that card at all? So he's got a lot of back row. I'm afraid of trap holes and kunai chains and everything, so I'm just not even going to play my 7-colored fish this turn. I'm going to hold on to it, hold on to my dark hole, give him a chance to get some field presence before I use it. He doesn't get a monster, he just attacks me for 1700. Plays another face down card, so you can see just tons of traps, tons of back row. So I draw another 7-colored fish, so I'm feeling a little bit safer this time. I'm going to go ahead and dark hole it. If he had a magic jammer, he wouldn't be able to use it because he doesn't have any cards in his hand, so I'm going to go ahead and summon this. And I'm still not going to attack because I'm afraid of Acid Trap Hole. He's got 4 cards back there, so if he's got an Acid Trap Hole in his deck, I mean not Acid Trap Hole, Trap Hole of Spikes. If he's got Trap Hole of Spikes in his deck, I'm deathly afraid. So I didn't attack on that turn, but I will be attacking this turn. So now I've got a Mystical Space Typhoon, I've got a Dust Tornado, and if you're wondering why I'm not hitting his back row, it's because I'm afraid of Kunai with Chain and Metal Morph. So I'm trying to save these cards, my Magic and Trap Destruction, for those cards. So, main phase 1, he still doesn't draw a monster. I'm thinking he doesn't have that many monsters in his deck. Like the last guy, he probably just didn't play any monsters that were too weak. So he's just drawing a lot of traps. So I go for attack if he finally reveals his Wabaku. And I'm not able to do any damage, so he gets to stall for another turn. See what he gets this time. Copycat, really good card. Copies the original attack of one of my monsters. So now he's got the same attack as 7-colored fish. He doesn't want to attack this turn. He's probably afraid of another Rush Recklessly or something like that. So on my turn, I get a Fissure. Great pool, but he actually has a response. Magic Jammer. So he throws out his Trap Hole. So at this point I'm thinking, yo, I've got 3 cards, Magic and Trap removal in my back row. He's got 3 cards, nothing in his hand, Copycat on the field, I've got a monster. So hey, I'll just destroy all these cards just to see what they are. So first thing he has is Wabaku, so I can't attack this monster this turn. But I'm thinking, hey, I'll destroy all these cards, I'll put the 7-colored fish, and he has to top deck a response, or else he loses. I know everything he has from this point on, so I can play a lot more aggressive, a lot safer.
We're going in. I think this is where he's realizing that he's been playing around Trap Hole of Spikes when it was never there. He's going to kunai with Chain, temporarily equipping onto the Copycat, but then being destroyed. He is not able to change the 7-colored fish into defense. The kunai with Chain requires you to declare an attack to do so. Now, this is a damage step card, so getting rid of it now, very good. Are you now willing to attack? Oh my jeez. This is why Mako's undefeated. Taking out a Trap Hole, double 7-colored fish. You have access to... Oh, you forgot about Wabaku! What were you doing? No! Undefeated Mako forgot about the Wabaku activated earlier in the turn, swinging into the Copycat. That may have thrown the entire duel.
Wins the board. He forgore Wabaku! Oh shit, even I forgore Wabaku!
So yeah, I forgot about his Wabaku and ran my 7-colored fish. You know, for those of you who don't know, Wabaku makes it so that your monsters can't be destroyed by battle. So since we had the same attack, 1800, my fish crashed and I lost it. So now in his turn, he crashes into my fish. So now I'm in an even worse position than I was trying to put him in. I draw Robin Goblin, and again, Robin Goblin is not so great for this tournament. It's not going to hold me a turn. It's not going to provide me any benefit here. Basically just a dead draw. The last thing I wanted to draw in this situation. So he's beating me down with a freaking 1500 attack monster. Almost anything in my deck would be able to out this, but since I'm top decking, it's rough. So yeah, this duel took a huge turn for the worse. I was playing it really safe by trying to play around Trap Hole of Spikes, and that ended up biting me in the ass since he didn't have any in his deck at all. Now I'm drawing in Tongyos, which this is the weakest card, or maybe the second weakest card in my deck. So this is probably the last monster I wanted to draw. Anything else would have beaten this guy. Obviously he's top decking pretty poorly himself, and he's been playing pretty passive as well this entire duel, but now that I don't have any cards, he's getting a little bit more aggressive. So you see he summons 2 of these. I'm playing Mako Tsunami, so you know I could have Dark Hole, Raigeki, anything. And that would put me in a great position if I were to top deck it, but I don't. As you can see, another Tongyo. If the last Tongyo was the worst card I could draw, this Tongyo was even worse. So pretty unfortunate misplay on my part. I think it's been a while since I played in a format where Wabaku was relevant, and this is my first tournament in a year, so I don't know, I guess I was just kind of rusty. I didn't really practice for this tournament at all. When I signed up, there was only 20 people, so I didn't think there would be this much competition. I went ahead and just flipped this Robin Goblin so that everyone would know what I had, just to be friendly. So yeah, that was my first loss, pretty demoralizing. Alright, so duel number 5. I get to go first again. Had pretty good luck with the coin flips in this tournament. So this guy is actually playing a Mako Tsunami deck as well, and this is probably the first duel in the tournament where I get a really bad hand. I do get 7 colored fish and crazy fish, which is pretty good, but I get 2 Umi Irukas. So if you have 1 in your hand, the next one is pretty useless unless your opponent decides to destroy it. But in this case, I'm actually in the mirror match. So this Umi Iruka is dead. There's nothing I can do with this. All of his monsters benefit from Umi Iruka, so if I get 500, he gets 500. It's not going to help. Alright, so I summon 7 colored fish, 1800 attack. I get to climb over this, unless he has a response, which it looks like he does. And he uses Rush recklessly. So he outs my 7 colored fish, and as you can see, I have a Tongyo and a Monster Reborn in my hand, so not too many options. If I Monster Reborn the 7 colored fish and he has another Rush recklessly, that's basically game right there. Tongyo's not going to get over anything. Managed to draw a crazy fish, and this 1650 is just enough to climb over anything I have. So I'm going to go ahead and Monster Reborn. He doesn't have a Magic Jammer, it looks like, or if he does, he doesn't want to use it. I'm going to go ahead and set this Tongyo just in case he's got another Rush recklessly to get over my 7 colored fish. He's got Wabaku. So so he doesn't get destroyed in battle. Now it's on him to get over my 7-colored fish. If he's playing the field spell, it would be useless, but if he's playing any equipped cards, that would put him at a huge advantage over me. He actually had Fissure, so he gets over my 7-colored fish, attacks my face down monster. That's a bunch of cards down for me. Now I have Crazy Fish and Rush Recklessly. So I'm going to go ahead and use Umi Iruka. Summon my Crazy Fish. And attack. Umi Iruka doesn't actually benefit me here. I played Umi Iruka just in case he had a Rush Recklessly or something like that, Wabaku. I played the Umi Iruka to kind of bait him into thinking that I didn't realize it boosted his field as well. So if he had anything, maybe he wouldn't use it because he thought that I just was a noob and didn't realize that my monster wasn't going to climb over his. That was my thinking. I don't know if he fell for it or if he just didn't have a response or what, but that's what I went for. So he ends up monster borning my 7-colored fish. Only one monster born in each deck. I pulled mine, he pulled his. Pretty rare occurrence, so he takes my 7-colored fish. Now there's nothing in my deck that's going to beat this. I'm going to use a Fissure. As you can see, I'm top decking now. What I could do if I wanted to play optimally was play this Umi Iruka face down over my Umi Iruka, and that would weaken his monsters. Could have done that, but to be honest, I was actually kind of demoralized after the last match, and playing into this deck, I realized, like, you know, there's not much I could do against this guy, so honestly, I kind of had given up already. I think this is the second duel in a row where I drew both of my Tangyos. Wow. So anything he summoned is gonna beat this, but he happens to get the giant red sea snake. Beats over my Tangyo. 450 damage. And at this point he has 3 back row, strongest card in his deck on the field, 2 cards in his hand. I've got a Mystical Space Typhoon. Again, I could set my Umi Iruka to destroy this Umi Iruka and just lower his monster's attacks, but I don't think it matters too much here. During the time when I was, you know, when I was actually in this duel, thinking about it, like I'm trying to think in my head of all the different cards, like what could I draw to get me out of this situation, to help me win this duel, and couldn't really think of anything. So if I don't have any hope for what to draw into, it's kind of hard to think about playing optimally here. So this is an extra 500 damage I take just for having Umi Iruka down. Then I draw Robin Goblin, and I think at this point, you know, after all these duels, I think this is the point where I was like, wait a second, Robin Goblin is a dead card. Like, it's not helped me at all. So, you know, when I drew it there, I just realized, like, yeah, that should be a Wabaku or something like that. In this case, it wouldn't help me even if it was a Wabaku, but so I ended up coming in 33rd place out of 149 entrants, so not quite top 25, but I guess pretty good for my first Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in decades, I think, at this point. So as you can see, I won the first 3, lost the second 2. Farfa, the Joey player that I lost to, he ended up coming in 9th place. So you can see here, 9th place, 6 wins, 1 losses. And the other guy I lost to, the Mako player that I lost to, Barcelona, he came in 17th place. So I was 33rd, he was 17th. He actually had a pretty similar record to mine, just one more game. I think I should have beaten Farfa. If I had beaten Farfa, I probably would not have played Barcelona or another Joey player, and I think my deck does pretty well against non-Joey players. So I think I could have made it to top 16, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. Anyway, that was my experience. Pretty fun tourney, all in all. I think there's going to be another one. This time, they're moving up from Duelist Kingdom to Battle City, and that's going to be more similar to Jinzo format in the TCG. So I'm excited for that one whenever it comes out.